Shruti Smriti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavat Padam Shankaram Lokashankaram. So in the last class, we were studying the 119th verse of the Vivekachudamani. So we have studied till now the Sthula Sharira and the Sukshma Sharira. There's a gross body and the subtle body. So this discussion is going on quite long. From verse 72, the description of the Sthula Sharira starts. And in the 119th verse, the last class, so we were studying about the Sukshma Sharira. It's not exactly the Sukshma Sharira. That the idea in the last class we were just discussing was that how in the deep sleep, in the dream state, the Sukshma Sharira is the thing which manifests. So now Shankaracharya will speak, there's three bodies they speak of. This first is Sthula Sharira, Sukshma Sharira, and then the Karana Sharira, the causal body. The causal body from which both the Sukshma Sharira, the subtle body as well as the gross body, manifests from the Karana Sharira, the causal body. So what's that causal body is, that Shankaracharya is going to discuss in the 120th and on the 121st verse, before concluding his discussion on the question that what is anatma. If you remember, in 51st verse, long back we have studied that various questions were asked by the disciple to the teacher, and the fifth question was that what is anatma, with which Bhagavatpada Shankaracharya started his discussion. Because unless we know what is not self, the question of negating it doesn't come. We continue to remain identified with it. So first he started the discussion with what is anatma, and then he will conclude this section in 122nd and in the 123rd verse by saying that all this, what has been studied from 72nd verse to the 121st verse, all describe these various layers of our existence as the gross body, as the subtle body, and as the causal body, and they all are the mere superimposition on the Atman. As such, they have no atyantika, no paramarthika satya. They are not in any way the ultimate truth. As long as I am in ignorance, they have some vyavaharika satya, that for my day-to-day activities, as long as I am living, they do have some vyavaharika. It has an empirical value, but not the absolute value. So that's the idea which Shankaracharya will be speaking in the 122nd and in the 123rd verse, before concluding his discussion on the question that what is anatma. So now let us enter into the discussion of Karana Sharira, that what is the causal body from which the gross body as well as the subtle body emanates. From the Karana Sharira, first the Sukshma Sharira emanates, and from the Sukshma Sharira, the Sthula Sharira emanates. So what's the Karana Sharira? First let us go to the verse and then we will discuss on it. The 120th verse, what it is saying? Avyaktam etat trigunai niruktam tat karanam nama sharirang atmana susupti etasya vibhakti avastha pralina sarvendriya buddhi vritti. So avyaktam, the unmanifested, is said to be made up of three gunas. So the Karana Sharira is called the avyakta, unmanifested. Means all the potencies are lying hidden there in a potential form. It is yet to manifest. So all the three gunas are lying hidden there in unmanifested form. So that is avyaktat etat trigunai niruktam. The unmanifested is made up of the three gunas. Trigunai niruktam. It has been said. Tat karanam nama shariram atma. So this is the Atman's causal body. The karana, causal body, from which the other shariras have emanated. Tat karanam. Karanam nama shariram. The name of this body, which represents the avyakta state, is the karana sharira. Karana nama sharira means karana sharira. The sharira whose name is karana. So this karanam nama shariram atman. Whose body it is? Atman. So it is not the Atman itself. Just the way we wear clothing. There may be various layers of clothing. So here also that's what is being indicated. It is the clothing of the Atmana. It is the causal body, the first coating of the Atmana, based on which the Sukshma Sharira and the Sthula Sharira manifests or emanates. Shushupti etasya vibhakti avastha. So it's spatial, the distinct aspect, vibhakti avastha. Vibhakti avastha means it can be very palpably visible. In which state? In Shushupti, in dreamless sleep. Shushupti, that speaks the dreamless, the deep sleep, the dreamless sleep. So in that state, the manifestation of the avyakta is palpably visible. That's been indicated by the term vibhakti. Vibhakti means distinguishedly. It can be distinctly characterized from all other states, all other manifested states. So this is the unmanifested state which is palpably manifested in the state of Shushupti. So in deep sleep is the distinct aspect of this avyaktam, of this karana sharira. And pralina sarvendriya buddhi vritti. What is it? It is characterized by what? By the dissolution of the activities of all sense organs and buddhi. As we know, when I am in deep sleep, our sense organs doesn't work. Even the intellect doesn't work. Only after waking up we realize I was in deep sleep. I was enjoying the deep sleep. What it speaks of? That there is some sort of witnessing. If I wasn't witnessing, I would have never known that I was in deep sleep. After waking up, I do know that I was sleeping. So there must be someone who was witnessing. So the one who was witnessing, that's the self which has been spoken of in the later verses, that he's the one who is witnessing all the three states, Jagrat, Swapna, Shushupti. Without the witness, I could never have recollected that I was in deep sleep. So all the activities, this dissolution of the activities of the sense organs and the buddhi happens when I am in deep sleep. Now already the nature of this unmanifested state we have already studied in the 108th verse when we were studying the 108th. What was it? How it was described? Avyakta namni paramesha shakti anadi avidya trigunatmika para. You will find almost the same repetition. Karyanumeya sudhiya eva maya yaya jagat sarvam idam prasuyate. So it is the Shakti, that is the Maya is called undifferentiated. It is the power, Shakti, the power of the Lord. It is the beginningless avidya. When it is there, I can never know. It has an end. When I get established in the Brahma Jnana, the ignorance obliterates, falls off. So it is not Ananta, but it is Anadi. Just when I am dreaming, I don't know when the dream started. But when I wake up, the dream do end. So similarly here it has been spoken of. When it started, we never know. But it do come to an end when our knowledge dawns in. So that's why it is Anadi, Avidya, Trigunatmika. Again and again it is saying it is made up of three gunas. Now this idea of these three gunas, previously also we have discussed. Let me again just describe it, that what these three gunas speak of. Again and again we find that our scriptures indicate this world is nothing but made of three gunas, sattva, raja and tama. Whatever we see is made up of these three gunas, sattva, raja, tama. And now we will find that there are so many books written, but to really get a very clear understanding of the three gunas, if you ask, we find it's so difficult. People find that they will say it speaks of the equilibrium, the sattva is the equilibrium, rajas is activity, tamas is dullness, darkness, and these three aspects defines the entire universe. Sometimes we find very much lot of activity, somewhere it is dullness, and somewhere it is that there is equilibrium, shanta avastha. It's not wrong, but still it doesn't define the entire universe. Because we will find that when we say, in our scriptures it is being said that all the organs of perception are pure sattva. The eyes, the ears, the nose, the touch, the taste. These are the organs of perception. They are pure sattva. The organs of action are pure rajas. So now it's very difficult to really relate the definition of sattva, rajas, tamas with these examples. That how can all the organs of perceptions be pure sattva? Sattva is a state of calmness. What it has to do with the sense of perception. So previously also we discussed, actually it's if we can convert them, transform them into the modern terminology. These are the terminologies which has evolved thousands of years back. That language has evolved thousands of years back. When we are reading it, that's the biggest drawback, that we sometimes do not know the equivalent terminology with which to relate those words. What is the exact terminology which can relate these three gunas, sattva, raja, tama? Now let us try to understand from the definition itself, that from the avyakta, that entire world has evolved. Yaya jagat sarvam idam prasuyate. And again, avyakta is the state of shushupti, the karana sharira. What it speaks, it's a wonderful idea, that even in the modern times, there's those of that if we do not have a very clear understanding how the mind works, what will be the idea? That knowledge comes through gathering in of the information. That my mind is as if blank and I go on learning. As a small child, my parents said, this is apple, this is flower, and that's how we have learned all the things. The knowledge of the apple, the knowledge of the flower, all those things were not there. The parents taught us, the teacher taught us, and that's how we gathered in the information. The blank mind is getting full with the information, and that's how we are acquiring knowledge. So that's what most of us will think with our shallow understanding. So in this context, you will find thousands of years back, what they are saying is something really very significant. They understood the fact that mind is not a vacant thing which has to be filled with information. Actually, the word information itself speaks of something which has been formed within. Information. It's not something which is gathered from without. It is something which is formed within. So what actually is knowledge? Knowledge is information, but that information doesn't come from outside. It comes from within. So now you relate to this definition of vyaktam. It is not that all this knowledge of this world, the way we are perceiving this world, the way we are seeing this world as something tangible, is something outside there. Its knowledge is already there in the mind, in the individual mind, and if we take as a whole the entire creation, it is in the cosmic mind. It is in the cosmic mind in the form of information. It is there. It is avyakta, unmanifested. It is in the form of seed, just a bija akar. Just as the entire tree is in the form of seed to manifest as a huge tree in time. So similarly, the entire world is hidden in the mind. And its state, what is saying, Shushupti, in a deep sleep. Now let us try to understand the state of Avyakta from the state which has been spoken of here, Sushupti. Now when I am in deep sleep, is my mind vacant? No. All the informations are already there, but they are not manifested. They're in the unmanifested, there's Avyakta. That simple example which we gave again and again. I wake up, open my eyes, see the flower outside in the garden, most probably a beautiful red rose. I think, most of us will think, even with our advanced education, sometimes when we don't think deep, what's that? There is a red flower outside there. But is the red flower really outside there? Even our science will say no. We are constantly hallucinating. Our mind hallucinates. How? But it is a very controlled hallucination. All are hallucinating in the same way. How it is hallucination is happening? That the redness is not out there. As we say again and again, the light falls on the flower, a particular wavelength is reflected back. The function of the light ends just when it touches the retina. It doesn't enter our brain. The moment it touches the retina, that optic nerve, there it gets converted into some nerve impulse. What's going to your brain, through which the mind is working, is just a nerve impulse. If we look inside the brain, it is totally dark. No light enters there. And when that nerve impulse, a particular frequency which has been generated by that particular wavelength, it reaches the so-called color center in the brain. The color is not perceived. That particular frequency of the nervous current is immediately projected. The moment that it stimulates that color center, that color is projected from that center and it goes and envelops the flower to give you a feeling that it is red. So only with color we are explaining that how the color is. Now the same thing applies for anything. Its shape, its texture, its smell, whatever I feel is not something which is outside. It is a projection of the mind. All those informations were there in the mind. They were all hidden. A particular stimuli gives out that activates the particular dormant information. All the informations were lying dormant. One of them gets activated. The one which is corresponding to that gets activated, and that is projected, and that's what I see the world. So even with science we can understand that. Now you just see the marvel of these verses, these ideas. These verses are not something Shankaracharya has discovered. Shankaracharya has just compiled. He took the idea from the scriptures and is compiling this. That idea was thousands of years back. All the information is there hidden in the mind. What I see is these informations getting projected to form this world of name and form. What's there outside, I never know. I can at most what I can say, there something exists. It's not that I am just imagining. It is not Akasha Kushuma Kalpana. That just I think there is a flower in the sky. It's an imagination. There can never be a flower in the sky. So when I see the world, it is not something like Akasha Kushuma. Something is there, but I can never know what is there. The moment I try to perceive it through the mind and the senses, it gets tainted by the mind and the senses. All the attributes which I am seeing, that the flower is red, the flower by itself cannot be defined. I have to define only by its attributes. It is red, it has a nice smell, it has a very smooth texture, it has such and such shape. All these are attributes. That all defines the object, but what the object is, I can never know. I can just say it exists, nothing else. Something exists. That's why they say that the world is Sat. Something is existing. That existence is there. I cannot deny the existence. But the moment I am trying to find out the existence, it is actually the mind which is projecting the informations which are already within. Information. So now how this thing is happening? That when I was sleeping, all the three gunas were lying dormant. The moment I wake up, the sattva is stimulated. That the stimuli is coming in. And that illumines. See, sattva is always illumination. That illumines a particular information which was already within. That takes a form and is being projected outside. The flower which I see is actually piecemeal perception. The redness is perceived in a particular center, its texture is perceived in a particular center, its smell is perceived in a particular center. They all conglomerate, synthesize to give me a picture of whole. All these piecemeal perceptions are the tanmatras. We say that the entire world is made up of tanmatras. The sthula bhuta is made of tanmatras, and I think, it is the subatomic particles. No. It is all these piecemeal perceptions which are the tanmatra. The word tanmatra means tatmatra. So these piecemeal perceptions conglomerate to give the sthula bhuta through panchikarana. The 5 types of perceptions, they conglomerate together to give the expression. Now, where were all these informations? It was already in the mind. Now now we understand that everything was in tamas, in darkness. When I wake up, the light is the stimuli comes in and the sattva is coming to picture. Illumination is coming. The dormant state, the state in which everything was in dark, that gets activated into sattva. So that's what we will find in the scripture. They say all the 3 gunas are transforming. Constantly they are transforming. It is not that they are 3 discrete, separate entity. The tamas is getting converted into sattva, sattva is getting converted into rajas. How rajas? After seeing the flower. Now, as per our samskaras, as per our tendencies, I may react in different way. I may go and pluck the flower and offer it to the divine, or I may water the plant so that more flower comes, or I may prepare a vase and just keep it in some our living space. As per our temperament, my reactions will be different. So these reactions also from where it is originating? Again from Avyakta. All these were there. That as Swamiji gives the example, a person who is lifting the weight, we think it is the muscle who is lifting the weight. And he's saying there's a very small thin nerve which connects the brain with the spine with the muscle. Just disrupt that, cut that. The muscles become useless. So it is again the information which is coming from the mind. That to work on it. And we start. And how to work on it? As per our samskaras. So now you will understand all these. When I was in deep sleep, my tendencies, my perceptions, everything was hidden in my mind. And now when I wake up, it immediately starts manifesting. And once it manifests the entire world. So this entire world, where it is? In the mind. From the mind, it has been projected. So that's the idea you will find very nicely. If you just take the word by word the meaning, how wonderfully that you can explain that how that Shankaracharya is describing that actually our existence is in 3 layers. The Karana Sharira, that when I am in deep sleep, everything is in that mind. And then the Sukshma Sharira, in the dream state, my senses are not working, but my mind is working. You will find I create a world just with my mind. And that time when I am dreaming, I never think I am dreaming. For me, that is real that time. So what I create with my mind, that's the reality. It's a very interesting thing. In dream, that is the reality. And when I wake up, then again, I find that the dream, what I experienced, has nothing to do with the so-called the perception of the external world, the Jagrat Avastha, where I am perceiving this external world with the senses, with the mind. So these 3 states, one after the other, emanates from the Avyakta. So that's why it is called the Karana, causal body. Because from it, everything else emanates. It's palpably understood when in the Shushupti state, Shushupti etasya vibhakti avastha, its special state is the Shushupti, pralina sarvendriya buddhi vritti. So everything merges in it. It's not that in the deep sleep state they are absent. They are still there, but they have just merged. They just merged there, pralina. They're still that they have dissolved there to again emanate when we wake up. So that's the idea which has been spoken of in the 120th verse for explaining the Karana Sharira. So it is, and again, all the threes are called Sharira. Sthula Sharira, Sukshma Sharira, Karana Sharira. So what does the word exact, this Sharira means? That which becomes Shirna is Sharira. Means that is not which is not going to last forever. Shirna means that which decays. That is not everlasting, that is which decays. That is Shirna. So all these three at last we'll find is not everlasting. The Sthula Sharira, of course, with the death, it's gone. Sukshma Sharira, even we will find that when we wake up from our sleep, when we're dreaming, all the dream state is gone. So Sukshma Sharira also is goes only with the enlightenment. When we realize that I am the Atman, I am the Brahman, then only it's going to be over. But even when I am in the state of ignorance, it do get Shirna. Shirna means what? Shirna means that which decays. We find that when my mind is not always active in the same way. Sometimes when I'm very much energetic, my mind is very much enthusiastic, sometimes I'm in a very depressed state. So it's constantly fluctuating. So that way, Sukshma Sharira is also something which is Shirna. And Karana Sharira, that is a Sharira which can be destroyed only with the dawn of knowledge. When you realize that you are the Brahman, then only the Karana Sharira can be dissolved. Not before that. But it can also be dissolved. So that's why it also is called Sharira. So the special characteristic of the Sushupti state is that both here the Buddhi as well as the Indriyas, both have dissolved. None of them are working. How it is different from the Jagrata state and in the Sushupti state? In Jagrata, both the Buddhi as well as the senses, they are manifested. In Swapnavastha, when we are dreaming, then the senses are not working, but the Buddhi is still working. In Sushupti, neither the Buddhi nor the Indriyas. Both are inactive. They both have merged in the state of Avyakta. So that's the thing which is being indicated by the sutra. This verse. The next verse specifically describes the nature of Sushupti, the deep sleep. After describing the Avyakta, of which Sushupti is a state. Now what's the exact state of Sushupti? Sarva prakara pramiti prashanti. Vijatmana avasthiti eva buddhe. Sushupti etasya kila pratiti. Kinchit na vedmi iti jagat prasiddhe. So we already discussed. Just now we will try to understand it word by word. Sarva prakara pramiti. Pramiti means pramana. Pramana means what? Even in all the Indian language we use the word pramana. That what I see is pramana. So pratyaksha is pramana. Not only what I see. There are different types of pramana. I can infer. If I see the smoke, I can infer there must be fire somewhere. This is called inference, anumana. This pratyaksha anumana. So like that, there are various types of perceptions. So all these perceptions, whether it is pratyaksha or anumana, it all merges when I am in the state of dreamless sleep. So sarva prakara pramiti prashanti, cessation of all sorts of perceptions. Vijatmana avasthiti eva buddhe. So have they totally vanished? No. they are there in the form of seed, bija atmana, in the form of seed, where they have just in which the mind remains in the buddhi remains in the seed form. So they are not manifested, but they are there. Just like in the seed, the entire tree is hidden. Similarly, in the deep sleep state, all the activities of the mind and the senses are hidden, like in the seed, in the bija form. So the test of this, that how we know that everything is there in that state, because whenever we wake up, when the mind has again manifested, with that manifested mind we all realize that I did not know anything when I was in deep sleep. Kinchit na vedmi. I didn't know anything. Kinchit nothing. Vedmi. I didn't knew. And this is Jagat Prasiddhe. It is something which is universal. Any one of us who go to the state of deep sleep, when we come back, we realize that there was no perception. We knew nothing. So that's the state of Shushupti which has been spoken of. So there is no knowing activity at that time. But how does a man resume conscious activity when waking from deep sleep? Because he was all in the seed form. The buddhi or the antakarana or the manas. So all this in the latent dreamless deep state was what? It was in the form of a seed. They didn't vanish. They were in the form of the seed. And that's what is known as the samskaras. As samskaras, they are there. The absence of knowledge of all kinds in that condition is the fact of universal experience. We all experience in the same way. There's a default experience for all of us. What's that? I didn't know anything. So now the same thing, the question is that in samadhi also we go beyond all perception. And in the deep sleep also we go beyond all perception. And many are there who confuse these two. They think this samadhi is nothing but deep sleep. It's something similar. But Swami Vivekananda very nicely have distinguished between deep sleep and samadhi. He used to say very nicely, a person enters into the state of deep sleep and comes out as a fool. A fool enters into the state of samadhi, comes out as a wise man. That's the difference. So what it speaks of, very nicely, if you study, that's why yoga, when we have to study Vedanta parallel to this yoga philosophy, where we will find the psychology, our psyche has been described very nicely. Where we will find a very nice distinction between the deep sleep and samadhi. The deep sleep, how it has been described in yoga, it is called abhava pratyaya alambana vritti nidra. Abhava pratyaya. Very nice. It all tallies with the modern science. And now they say that even when I am in sleep, if our brain is kept for in some this EEG, electrocardiogram, then if you do the electrocardiogram of your mind, you will find the waves are still there. Though it's a different type of wave, but the waves are still there. And that's what has been defined in the Yoga Sutra. They are saying abhava pratyaya alambana vritti. Now, these terms, unless we understand, we will never know the beauty of this definition. The vritti means the waves. Pratyaya means the content of the wave. So how they have defined that even in deep sleep, the waves are there, the vritti is there. But these waves are abhava pratyaya alambana. It is holding onto a pratyaya which is abhava. There is no pratyaya. So these waves are vacant, but the waves are still there. And what is samadhi? The second verse, chitta vritti nirodha, where the waves are not there. The mind has gone beyond all the waves. So in both the states, there is absence of knowledge. But they are poles apart. As Swamiji again is to say that always the poles look alike. Very high frequency sound I cannot hear, a low frequency sound I cannot hear. A high frequency light I cannot see, a very low frequency light I cannot see, but they are poles apart. Similarly here, the deep sleep, there is no perception. But in samadhi, there is no perception. But there is a marked difference. In one, the vrittis are still there, and it is in such a dull state that it has no pratyaya. Pratyaya gives us the knowledge. Whatever is the pratyaya, that's the knowledge. So it speaks of no knowledge. It's in total dull state. And here in Samadhi, what has happened? That I have gone to a state where the vrittis have been stopped. The vritti, which is the cause from the moment the ignorance dawns in, and the moment I get identified with the psychophysical existence, the ego comes into picture, immediately this vritta originates. Unceasing vritti going on. And you have gone to the state where you have stopped the vritti. This is the highest state. So that is samadhi. In both the things, there is no perception, but they are poles apart. So that's why when you go to the deep sleep, it is just the state, the dormant state, where all the perceptions are there in the seed form. They again sprout back. But samadhi, whenever you attend samadhi, what happens? They say a very nice word. They say you have become kushala. Kushala. These terms, sometimes we Sanskrit words we don't understand. We give the name of the children kushala, and we say kushala means that which is good, well. Good is kushala. But the real meaning of kushala is dagdha vija is kushala. Dagdha vija means the seed. If the seed is not burned, it can sprout again. As Guru Maharaj used to give an example, in the terrace, some seeds were there, just lying. And one day a strong wind came. Most probably for years those seeds were there on the terrace, and a strong wind came and they were, driven by the wind. And they went and fell on the ground. The moment it fell, it sprouted. Though it was not manifesting for years together, the moment it fell on the ground, it got favorable circumstances, it sprouted. Now you think if those seeds were burned, if they were burned, will they sprout? Never. So just see, kushala means when you reach samadhi, you become kushala. What is the state? The kushala means dagdha vija kushala. The seed has been burned. There is no chance of sprouting again. So though the seed, an ordinary seed and a burned seed may look alike, what is the way? Even if in favorable circumstances, the burned seed won't sprout anymore. So that's the state of samadhi, which has been spoken of in the scriptures. So now we will find that we have started the investigation of the non-self. How? From the verse 72. From 72 to 74, the gross body was described. From 75 to 84, that what is the fate of those persons who are attached to this gross body, that was described. That from 75 to 84. And then from 85 and 86, the fate of those illumined souls who are detached from the gross body, that was described. From 87 to 92, so we have again the gross body was discussed in details. And then from 93 to 119, the subtle body, its constituents, the sense organs, the prana, and the ego. These are the constituents of the subtle body. The sense organs, prana, ego. All these were discussed under the section of subtle body from 93 to 119. And just today, this 120 and 121st, that discuss the causal body. In these two verses, the causal body has been described. So now this, in the way we will find in the 51st verse, the question was asked that what is non-self? The disciple asks the question to the teacher. So these all, what has been described from 72 to 121, which we just now were discussing, the 121st. 72 we started long back. So all this which has been discussed in these verses constitute the non-self. So this 122nd and 123rd will describe that. What it is saying, Dehendriya, Prana, Mana, Aham, Adaya, Sarve Vikara, Vishaya, Sukhadaya, Vyoma Adi Bhutani, Akhilancha Vishwam, Avyakta Paryantam, Idam Hi Anatma. So this Sanskrit is a beautiful language. Even in original language, you will find it is so similar, as if you are speaking in this Indian region. All the regional languages, they all derive from Sanskrit. So this Paryantam in all the language means till, up till, Paryantam. So it is till Avyakta, from the Deha, from your Deha, Indriya it starts, Prana, Mana, Aham means the ego, Adi, Sarva Vikara, all the sorts of modifications in the form of pleasure, pain, and this fear, all these things, these are the vikaras. Vishaya, all the objects of the senses in the form of sight, sound, touch, taste, smell. So these are the the Vishaya. So, and this Vyoma Adi, these all the sense objects are the Akasha Vayu. Is Akasha Vayu, Agni, Prithvi, Apaha. So these are the various constituents by which the world is made. So all these things, in fact the whole universe, up to the undifferentiated. This universe I see, if I try to find out what its nature is, the science takes this sense, the object which I have sensed, as the reality and starts its analysis on that. And Vedanta questions the perception itself. What I am perceiving, is that real? So there the question starts. In this modern, in all the science, I take the credential of the senses as true. As this world, what the senses is showing me is true. And then I go for the detailed analysis of that. And in Vedanta, so that's why these two, we can never as such tally them. The studies, the field of study is totally different. Here they're questioning whether the credentials of the senses which we take to be true, are they really true? How the senses are working? Now, well, at present, the science have entered that field also. You'll find a lot of discussions are going on. Even in any neurologist you go, they will say that what we are seeing is the projection of the mind. So that somehow you will find tallies with what the Vedanta is saying. So all this is from the up to what? Up to avyakta. That when I was in deep sleep, everything was in the state of avyakta. When I wake up, from that again it manifests. From within to without, it manifests. So all these are anatma. So these are not self. Is a self, the moment it activates the mind then projects the external reality. Just the example which we give again and again, the light falling on the prism breaks into the spectrum of infinite colors. We see 7, but there are infinite spectrum. So similarly, the consciousness coming in association with the mind, that mind itself is a product of the ignorance. It doesn't have a separate entity. When the consciousness, because we don't know how it happens, that's why it is called ignorance. Because of ignorance appears as the mind, and then the consciousness comes in association with the mind. Sat, asat, asat, mithunik krita. It can never happen, but how it has happened we don't know. They come together to project this world of reality. Just the way in the computer, the hard disk is something inert. When the bias voltage passes through it, and the keyboard is just like your sense organs, when you press it, the stimuli is given to it. And then in the screen what you see is the world of virtual reality. So all these suggestions, how it will work, when if you have not turned on the computer, if the bias voltage is not passing through the hard disk, however you may go on pressing this keyboard, will you see anything in the screen? Nothing. So the bias voltage has to pass through the hard disk. The consciousness has to come association with the mind, and then the world of virtual reality is projected. So that's the thing. So what apart from the bias voltage, which is, as it means we are just with an analogy we are trying to understand, which is as if the consciousness, everything else is not current, is not the electricity. When the electricity passes through it, it creates the world of virtual reality. This world of virtual reality is nothing but the electricity. Those who study the computer, very basic thing is that how I create the world of virtual reality, it is nothing but 0 and 1. What does 0 and 1 speaks of? It was actually when the current was just simply passing on the wires, it was yet to pass through the hard disk. It was just 1. On means 1. When it is passing through the hard disk, what is happening? Sometimes it is getting off, sometimes it is getting on. There are so many what is it? The entire circuitry inside it. Sometimes it is getting on, sometimes it is getting off. This is only, that's why they say there is only two digits inside the component. It is binary. It is 0 and 1. That 0 and 1 is creating the world of virtual reality. So what actually speaks of that the one current, when it gets avarana, when it gets obstructed, obscured, then the vikshepa happens. So it's the same in the computer. When that one is somehow with the gets, that they use the word get for the integrated circuit, inside the integrated circuit. Because of these various types of gets, it is getting obscured in particular ways. So that avarana is creating this vikshepa, the entire world of vikshepa. So what I see is nothing but the consciousness. It is the same current which is appearing in the screen as the illumination. So if you remove the current, all those things doesn't have the capacity to produce this world of virtual reality. So all these things are not the consciousness. They're the not self. So that's being indicated by the 122nd verse. And 123rd verse is, what is this anatman? This question is again answered. Maya karyam sarve mahat adi deha paryantam asat idam anatma tattvam vidhitang maru marichika kalpam. Just the way I see the mirage in the desert. Maru means desert, marichika is a mirage. Just the way I see the mirage in the desert. Similarly, the entire thing from Mahat till this body, everything through succession, it has been projected. It is the Maya Karya. It is the work of the Maya. The Maya itself and the Maya Karya taken together is the Asat, is Anatma Tattvam. Asat idam. Maya Karvam, Sarve, Mahat Adi Deha, from Mahat, from the cosmic mind, where this universe is there in the seed form, from where it is projected. So this is nothing but the Maya. In the Upanishads, this has been spoken of in a very poetic way. What does it say? That Tat Aikshat, that the ultimate reality is neither he nor she. He is beyond all attributes. So as it is beyond attributes, there cannot be any gender. So it's always indicated by neuter gender. Tat, that as if thought. Aikshat. Aikshat means either thinking or seeing. It's very important. Even in modern science, you will find that that I can never define matter. What is matter? You cannot find out. At last, you have to take witness or consciousness into the picture to define matter. The very common experiment which we again and again refer to in the quantum physics is the double slit experiment. Again and again we refer to. That when to find out the nature of the electrons, the electron from an electron gun, the electron was sprayed, was shot, and it was at first it was allowed to pass through a single slit. And when it goes and strikes the second screen, in the first screen there are two slits. One slit is closed, one slit is open. Through one slit the electron spray is going to form a spot which gives an idea that, oh, electrons must be matter. It must be something solid matter. And then when both the slits are open and again the electron gun is shot, now we are supposed to find two spots in the screen, but instead of two spots we find there is a band, this dark and light band. It happens when two waves collide. When the crest meets with the crest, it gives a very high crest, and when the crest meets with the dwarf, then it neutralizes. So that speaks of the dark and the light band, where somewhere it is illuminated and again it is dark, again it is illuminated. So it speaks of the meeting of two waves. It's a form of energy. It's not matter. So the scientists were confused. Is electron a matter or is just an energy? It's a probability. Now what they do, they keep both the slit open and there is a camera on the screen on which these two slits are there to observe what is going on in the second screen. By keeping both the slits open, again the electron gun is shot. Now they see two spots. So when someone is observing probability collapses into reality. Wonderful thing. This is the idea spoken of in the science, double slit experience. When someone is witnessing, then the probability. Otherwise, it's unpredictable. Something unpredictable is becoming predictable. It's collapse. They give a very nice example. Suppose in a classroom, the teacher is not there. The children are all jumping, having fun and frolic. They're not sitting on their seat. And the principal from his office could sense that what's going on in the classroom. So he walks down the corridor and comes and stands in front of the door of the classroom. Just stands. And immediately seeing the headmaster, all the students sit quietly in the seat. Seeing the headmaster, all the probability collapses into reality. They have to take their all specific seats. So that's the example they give. So what it speaks of, the same idea, that unless there is a witness, there cannot be any, as such, the reality, the tangible reality which we see. It's all actually virtual. Our witness makes it something tangible reality. So they give the example of Maru Marichika. Does the Marichika mirage exist? No. It exists only when I am deluded. When there is a subject, that is the question of mirage. Otherwise, there is no mirage. A subject is deluding the desert as the mirage. So, Maru Marichikavat Kalpam. So that's the idea. So Maya Karyam. So whatever I am seeing is nothing but the Anatma. This Anatma, Atma when comes in association with this Anatma to give this expression as this world of virtual reality. Without the Atma, everything just simply collapses. So that's the Tat Aikshat. So that thought, the Aikshat, as we told, has two meanings. It means either thinking or seeing. If you take seeing, it how nicely corresponds with the idea of this double slit experiment where someone is observing. You'll find these ideas are wonderful. They say that when, as an ordinary person, we are constantly, the winking. Our eyes constantly winks. It's never that our eyelids are always open. Constantly it is winking. They say the Brahma, the first cosmic mind, when the ultimate reality found expression as the Mahat, as the cosmic mind, that's the Brahma. He is the one who is Nishpalak, whose eyes never wink. Because if no one is witnessing, there is no question of creation. So that's why they say that unless you are seeing, the world is not there. There's a very nice conversation between Einstein and Rabindranath Tagore. That Einstein, his own theories were proving something like these ideas of the quantum physics of Vedanta. Now, he himself was from a Abrahamic religious background. He was a Jewish. The idea where in the Jewish Abrahamic religion is that it is a design. The God has designed this universe. Just the way a potter designs the pot from the clay. So something like that, it has been designed out. Now, in this Vedanta, they say that the moment you perceive, there is creation. So now these two ideas exactly don't tally. That God has designed and I am here to see the world. That's the idea from the Abrahamic religions I get. And in Vedanta they say that there is not outside, that the object is not there. The moment I see, it comes into existence. Now very simply, though Einstein's own discovery speaks of that, when he was conversing with Rabindranath Tagore, he asked Rabindranath Tagore that what's your opinion? He told I'm quite at home with this idea. It's the idea that from the perception the creation comes into existence. That's what our Vedanta says. And then Einstein pointed a statue and told, if I am not here, you are not here, doesn't the statue exist? Statue, will you say it is not existing? You're not seeing means it is not existing. And there comes the Vedanta's answer. This Mahat. It's not my mind or your mind. Our individual minds are just a part of that cosmic mind. That is the Shamashti. We are just the Vyashti. We are just the way I create my world when I download from the internet. The internet is the Samashti, the collective mind. All sorts of informations are there. Now I, because of my bias, if I am an engineering student, I will be downloading only all the things which has to do with the engineering. A medical student will be downloading the things which has to do with the medical science. So as per my samskaras, my bias, my position of life, what I am downloading from that cosmic constitutes my own individuality. But everything is actually part of that cosmic mind, collective mind. So this so-called perception has happened in the cosmic mind. And what has happened there, that as default we are all bound to see. So even if you are not seeing, it's always when the cosmic mind dissolves, then there is no creation. So I still remember when George Smoot, he got Nobel Prize for this black hole, the studies on the black hole. He came to India and he was in IIT Kharagpur with all the students from the different schools. They went to meet him in IIT Kharagpur. He gave some presentation, and after that he asked the students to ask questions. So various students were asking the school students what type of questions they will ask. They were asking the school level questions, and one girl from some other school asked a very funny question that can we destroy the entire creation in one go, in one go. And George Smoot told, how is it possible? This entire creation is infinite. How powerful you may have an atom bomb. You can of course do a destruction in this world, but creating the entire, just dissolving the entire universe, how is it possible? We cannot imagine even that. It's just like trying to count the sands in the sea beach. That's what the stars and galaxies are, infinite. But in Vedanta, it's possible. The moment the mind dissolves, immediately the creation is not there. So that's the idea which has been spoken of here. Maru Marichika Kalpam. So it's just a projection. The consciousness alone is there. Everything else is just a mere projection. The moment that there's that Ishvara makes a sankalpa, sah kamayata, he desired, and this creation emanated from the Mahat, from the desire in the mind of the cosmic mind to the ultimate, individualities in the form how? From the mind, as we were studying. First comes the Sukshma, this Tanmatras, and then the Sthula Bhuta, this Tanmatras conglomerate to form this Sthula Bhuta, the piecemeal perceptions conglomerate to form this perception of this world of name and form. That's why this world is, these words, if we can understand, we will understand Vedanta. The entire philosophy is in the word. We will find in all the Indian languages, they call the universe as Prapancha. Prapancha. What it means? Prakrishta Rupena Pancha. This world is nothing but the five perceptions which have cooked together, like basically the khichdi of all these five perceptions. When I'm saying the flower, the smell, the sight has conglomerate together. Even if I touch that smooth touch. So all these perceptions have conglomerated together, synthesized together to give me this world of reality. So the Sukshma Bhutas conglomerate to form the Sthula Bhuta. That's what means Prapancha. All these five senses have conglomerated to create this world of tangible reality of name and form. So this Prapancha comes into existence. So this entire universe, which includes these 14 worlds, that's the gross bodies of which you and me are a part, all came from that cosmic mind. I will just request you that this sometimes even scientific deliberations can help us to understand to a great extent these ideas which have been spoken of, that how everything is Marichika. If you get chance in the TED talk, just search, go to your Google internet and search for the TED talk, the hallucinating brain. It's by it's a deliberation of 17 or 18 minutes by one neurologist. I'm forgetting his name immediately. But if you search the hallucinating brain, there you will find how the external world as well as our own body, that's all is a hallucination of the brain, which speaks of that Marichika, that Mithya. It's not there. The moment this projection stops, then has everything gone? No, there Vedanta says no, it's asserting. When this projection stops in Samadhi, I become aware of that non-dual existence. That now I am bound within the space-time causation. When I am aware of my existence, I know in such and such space I am, in such and such time I am, and these are the cause for which I am here. So these ideas, space-time causation, this falls off. But you don't become something inert. You're aware of your existence. That's why it is called Sat Chit. You are Sat, but you are not something inert. Your awareness of your Sat is that speaks of the Chit Swarupata. And that again is beyond all miseries, sorrows, wants. That speaks of the Ananda Swarupata. That is always fulfilled. So that's the thing which exists. When the projection falls off, that's the thing which is there, which can never be annihilated. That's the real me. That's the self. And that's the self which will be answered in the next question. What is self? There's a sixth question from the next verse, which we are going to study in the next class. So in the next class, the section which we are starting is the answer to the question, what is self? That will be taken in the next class. So with this, we stop our discussion. Thank you all. Namaskar.